Hi everyone. We're going to look at reporting results in a graph. This relates to the writing tasks that you had last week. So first, let's take a look at what we need to think about and look at when we're writing a results paragraph. Well, first we need to look at the content, what needs to be in there. We have to include the topic of the graph. What is it showing us? We have to describe or report the results that are in the graph, and also look at the graph and see what is the trend, what conclusion, what do we understand from the information presented in the graph. And in any paragraph, we have to consider the organization. We need a topic sentence, we need transition words, connectors that link ideas, and we need a concluding sentence that relates to the trend. And as in any paragraph, it must follow paragraph format. And of course, language, we have to see that there's an attempt, grammar and spelling, check your work, look at it. Are there complete sentences? Are there run-on sentences? So let's take a look at the graph, and here we've got it here. Basically, what do we see? We look here and we see percentage. Percentage of what? And here we have what we call the legend. We have the very, very dark blue, and that shows us alcohol alone, marijuana alone, and here the lightest, alcohol and marijuana combined. And here we have the age of users from 16 to 25. Now, what we're missing here is the context. We don't know anything more than the fact that these is a group of people from the age of 16 to 25 that use alcohol or marijuana. We don't know in what context it's being reported. So we have to discuss it and report it in general terms. Let's take a look at a few of the writing samples. Okay, this is our first example. And first of all, the first thing I see is that it doesn't follow paragraph format. Because in a paragraph, all sentences must follow one another. We don't start each new sentence on a new line. They have to follow, and that's easy enough to do. We just do this. We put it together, and already it looks different. So if we look here and we say, okay, what about it? The graph presents the percentages of ages that people use marijuana and alcohol and marijuana combined. Now here we don't really need the parentheses, but we'll ignore that for right now, between the ages of 16 and 25. This is an excellent topic sentence because it gives us the topic and we can see what's in there. The graph shows the higher percentage, spelling mistake here, of users in the age of 21. Well, users of what? We're not quite sure. Is it alcohol? Is it marijuana? Is it everything together? It's an incomplete idea. So here if we go back and we look at 21 and we say, aha. So here what we're missing is users of all. We'll just use the word substances. And already this here makes that sentence now logical. In addition, in the ages of 21 to 25, there's a large representation of people that drink alcohol rather than people that use alcohol and marijuana combined. In other words, they're trying to say, although not completely clearly, that there are more who drink alcohol. In conclusion, the graph shows the growing what? The growing percentage in marijuana and alcohol use over the ages, and oops, we're not quite sure what happened. And that's why we need to reread our work to make sure that we've completed it. And sometimes doing it out loud is helpful. So even if we got rid of this, the alcohol use over the ages. So here it's not bad, and we can see how easily we can change this into a very good little piece of writing. Next. Sample 2. Well, again, this sentence, and here we've got a trend that's being identified, but why is it by itself? Why is it not here? It's part of the paragraph, so it must be up here. Let's take a look. The graph talks about the age they are taking drugs or drinking alcohol. As we can see from the graph, the most age they are taking drugs and drinking alcohol is 21. Now, if I look here, the graph talks about, does it talk? No, we need a word for using graphs. Presents the ages. And who's they? Let's say who they is. In other words, young people. Period at the end of the sentence, please. So, again, they're taking drugs and is 21. And then, which will cause a lot of problems. This is a problem. Why is this a problem? Because it's making a judgment. So we want to leave it out. It's not part of the description of the graph. And if we look here at the end, I'm skipping through this. Teens seem to prefer drinking alcohol than taking drugs in the age of 21. Is that the trend? Well, it's true about age 21, but it's not exactly the trend. We go back and we say, what do we see the trend? Is that we see this. It seems to peak at the age of 21 and then starts to decrease. And what we don't have is what happens at 35 or 45 or 55. Let's look at sample 3. Again, we have a similar kind of situation. And again, it's the same kind of thing. Let's go on. Sample 4. Aha. It looks like a paragraph. And let's look at the first topic sentence. First sentence. Alcohol and marijuana are the two most dangerous types of addicts. Well, what's the problem here is this. There's nothing in our graph that talks about addicts. It says the age. It doesn't say that there's any issue here of addiction. So the topic sentence, which gives us the topic of the graph, is incorrect. Okay, we need a capital letter here. The chart shows us it's not a chart, it's a graph. Shows us a range of consumption ages of alcohol and marijuana. Now this is a little bit closer to our topic sentence. And here I'm just going to point out that none of the sentences begin with a capital letter, and every sentence must. Between the age group between 16 and 25, according to the percentage, mark the changes according to age. We can therefore see that by age 21, there's a gradual increase in the graph. And we look here. And if we look here, gradual, is that really gradual? If we look here, it's not really gradual, it's a sharp increase. Here we have a gradual decline, but here this is what we call a sharp increase. So here we don't want the word gradual, we want the word sharp. And again, what have we got here? And so we've got a judgment. And it happened because alcohol is legal and there's a high availability. We're not trying to explain the results of the statistics. What we want to do is keep in mind that we're describing it. Later in a discussion area, we're going to explain what they mean. But in a results paragraph, we only say what there is. Okay. Sample 5, what I've done is I've marked. Basically, we can see here that there are two main problems. Let's look at the language aspect here. Is it a table or a graph? It's a graph. Does it represent or does it present a pole, Michael, or pole? Second, different age sections or different age groups that pick or peaks. Again, lessening or declines. We need to choose the right word, and that's why it's important to go back and review those words that are related to graphs. And again here, paying attention to the grammar. The researcher was focusing or was focused on. Here we want the passive form. More popular than or than. Although it's not a spelling mistake, it's a grammatical mistake. Because then means afterwards, and than is comparing. Describes decreases. So if we go back and we want to summarize some of the things that we saw here, as we have the topic of the graph, which is expressed in the topic sentence. We have the description and report of the results. We state facts, and we link these ideas with transition words. We need to report the trend or the conclusion, and that'll be in our concluding sentence. And we always follow paragraph format. All the sentences in a paragraph must follow one another. So next time you sit down to write, keep a lot of these ideas in mind, and I'm sure that they will help you when you write.